Hey, this is Digital Deepak here. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a new project that I am starting called MicroStartup. And I will tell you what is the reason that I am starting this new project and what MicroStartup is all about. But before we get into that, if anybody is watching this channel for the first time, because this is going to be a series of videos, I will tell you a little bit of background about myself. I graduated in 2008 in civil engineering and did not get a job in civil engineering. I got a job from an IT company, but it was not relevant to my experience, so I did not join that job. From 2008 to 2009, while I was waiting for my joining date, I started this motorcycle blog called bikeadvice.in just out of passion. And at that time, we had less than 10% of the country on the internet. So I set up a WordPress blog, started blogging about motorcycles, and 6 months down the line, I started making some $300 a month in Google AdSense revenue. And $300 was around 40 to 50 rupees in terms of conversion rate, right? So now dollar is almost like 84 rupees. So this revenue helped me reinvest money back into the business. I hired more freelance writers and kept on doing it until 2012. And the site's traffic went all the way up to like 1 million page views a month. It was one of the top motorcycle blogs in India. The term digital marketing itself did not exist at that time. People used to call it internet marketing, and corporates did not start digital marketing activities at all. They were still stuck with traditional marketing. I decided to sell the blog in 2012 for $25,000. The primary reason being I did not have a funnel and predictable revenue. The revenue was very inconsistent, and it went all the way up to $2,000 to $3,000 a month in Google AdSense revenue. But I did not have a product or service that I could sell to my audience. And I also felt that I should move to a bigger city, probably work in a few companies, gain some experience. So I came to Bangalore, and in Bangalore, or let's say Bengaluru, as it is nowadays called, I started applying for jobs as a digital marketing manager. And I got a series of jobs as a digital marketing manager in companies like Xhotel, Practo, Instamojo, and Razorpay. Some of these companies you might have heard of. In all these companies, I was able to show Bike Advice as my project that I did. And I had also started digitaldeepak.com in 2013. And in digitaldeepak.com, I kept on blogging about digital marketing. I did not monetize it. And finally, in 2016 December, I launched my first course on Digital Deepak, which was a Google Ads Mastery course. And that is where my journey as an entrepreneur in Bangalore started again. So 2017, I registered this company, pixeltrack.com. And Pixeltrack is a company which is more than 6 years old right now. And I have a co-founder as well. And I will tell you the reason that I am moving away from Pixeltrack. So in Pixeltrack, we used to do digital marketing services and digital marketing education. And you might be very well part of the student base that I have created using Pixeltrack. So Pixeltrack, instead of being a generic digital marketing agency and a generic digital marketing training company, we started niching down just to sales training and sales services. So we train people on sales methodologies, and we help businesses build sales teams. And our head of sales, Jayant Kumar, he got really good at sales, got really good at training people on sales. And I felt that he is a good CEO to hand over Pixeltrack to, and he will be continuing Pixeltrack from here. And I will still continue to have stake in Pixeltrack. I will still continue to advise Pixeltrack on how he should be growing the business, because I also have a stake. And my value of the equity will also grow as Pixeltrack grows. Now, I am shifting to this new project called MicroStartup.com, which will be a holding company for multiple startups. And why I am doing this is because I felt that if you have to teach business, if you have to teach startups, the best way to teach about startups is to build a startup in public. So MicroStartup.com will be built in public. As of now, the company registration process is going on, and I'm registering a new private limited company, and I will be sharing all the details of how I am building this company from scratch. And I will be sharing transparently the amount of revenue we make month on month, the amount of expenses we incur month on month, how much income I am making, how much profit we are making, and the entire process of decision making on what we are doing, how we are doing. Because now I am finally upgrading from teaching digital marketing to teaching people how to build startups itself, because that is the need of the hour. A lot of job losses are happening in the market, and everybody has a dream of starting their own business. And I don't want to be a typical business coach and say that I'm a successful entrepreneur just by doing business coaching. And that is my hesitation in just becoming a business coach. I want to be a business coach by showing you how I am doing business, and look at me and learn, and that's all there is to it. I will be continuing to train people on digital marketing, but most importantly, I will be starting an agency called Deep Marketing, which will come under the umbrella of MicroStartup. And this particular agency, Deep Marketing, will provide digital marketing services to clients. So I will be showing you how I am reaching out to clients. If the client allows me to, I might even publish the call that I have with the client. I will share the proposals with you if the client allows it. So as much as possible, whatever we are doing here and whatever I am doing here, I'll be showing it to you in a public way. And this is also a way for me to keep myself accountable to continue building the company. Because if I am a startup entrepreneur, I don't have a boss. So who am I reporting to? So this is a small trick for keeping myself productive, because I am reporting to you, the audience. You are watching me, which means that I am forced to keep updating what I am doing here in this company at least once or twice in a week. And if I feel like taking a break for 2 weeks, and if I am lazy, if I am unproductive, if I am procrastinating, and if I am not doing any updates, I will have that guilty feeling that, hey, my audience is waiting for an update and I should be doing something. And for that reason, if I sit and do something, that's more than enough for me, and I have my selfish reasons for doing this entire project. So let's get into the presentation and let's look at what is involved in MicroStartup. So when I say startups is a very broad definition, right? And what we see in the news, what we see in the media is that, hey, this startup raised $1 million in funding. Now they are valued at $10 million. Some startup raised $10 million in funding. They are valued at $100 million. Some startups are valued at $1 billion. And I have worked in all these startups, and these kind of valuations are not sustainable. They are not practical. Most of these startups are running in losses, and it does not make any sense. So instead of calling it a startup, I'm going to call it a micro startup. And instead of starting a company in some other name and calling it my micro startup, I'm going to call my company itself as MicroStartup. And I had invested in this premium domain name a few years back. I was able to acquire MicroStartupcom as well. So it kind of fell in place that I would call my MicroStartup MicroStartup.com. And what do I define by MicroStartup? MicroStartup means that you are going to start the business as a personal brand who has an expertise in a particular field. So my area of expertise is digital marketing and startups. And you are going to grow the company in a bootstrapped and profitable way. You are going to make profits so that you can take profits out from the company. And you are also going to go ahead and make sure that you are growing the company by reinvesting the revenue that you are generating from the company instead of waiting for external funds to come in. So you are not going to liquidate any of your holdings at a very early stage. And that's what most of the startups do. They end up selling 20%, 30% equity in their company at a very early stage. And the amount of equity that the founder has at, let's say, Series C, Series D, Series E becomes less than 10%. And a lot of startups, the founder does not have a complete control over the company. And the investors tell the founders on what to do. And the very reason that we are building our own startup is to have a certain level of freedom in our life. And what is the point of building a startup? If you are rich on paper, not in terms of real money, you are famous, but you don't have freedom. You are just employees of the investors who invested in the company. So that is how I define MicroStartup. And if you are building your own MicroStartup, what is the activity that you are going to do inside the startup? I recommend doing education services, software and platform. And I'm going to clearly rule out e-commerce here because I have seen a lot of e-commerce companies very closely. I have consulted with them. And what happens in e-commerce companies is that these companies do not have very good profitability. They have high level valuations, which are just on paper. And they also have the problem that you are dealing with physical goods, you have logistics, you have to acquire the goods, you have to warehouse it, you have to ship it, you have to handle the returns, and the margins are thin. And the entire startup thing in India has been kind of portrayed as e-commerce is the only startup that you can build because of Shark Tank. And when you look at Shark Tank also, it might be fun to watch, it might be entertaining to watch, but it's not practical. I heard that around 60 to 70% of the funding that was promised in these startups by the sharks in the Shark Tank show, the funding did not even happen. So you can't really learn about startups by watching Shark Tank. And most of the startups that you see are e-commerce or D2C brands. And another problem with D2C brands is that the trends come and go. You will sometimes have a particular trend of a particular type of product. Like for example, suddenly a bunch of different startups will be selling trimmers, and a bunch of different e-commerce companies will be selling bamboo towels or linen bed sheets. And then you will see that the trend goes away. So in such an atmosphere, I don't think that we can really build a long-term sustainable business in the e-commerce category. So that is ruled out. What do we have left? We have education services, software and platform. And you cannot start right away with software and platform. If you start with a software, so software is SaaS company. And when I say platform, platform is more like a two-sided platform. Like for example, Paytm, PhonePe is a payment network where you have merchants on one side and users on one side. Ola is a platform where you have drivers on one side and passengers on one side. So these platforms have a network effect. Platforms suck in a lot of money initially, but once the network effect is built, you have like a monopoly situation in the market. Swiggy and Zomato is a platform. Amazon and Flipkart is a platform where merchants and consumers come together. So platform business models can be billion-dollar companies, but it sucks in a lot of capital for a very long time. And the chances that it will become a billion-dollar company is also less. So I will eventually be building platforms, but not right now because it needs a lot of capital. When it comes to software, yes, a lot of people try to build a micro SaaS company, like a tool, like an app. It could be an iPhone app. It could even be a Chrome plugin. But again, to build software, you need distribution. You can't run paid advertising to acquire customers for your software. Otherwise, you won't be sustainable. And if you are going ahead and building a software anyway, you don't have a very clear product market fit. You might end up building something where the audience does not want it. And how would you know what the audience wants? So my recommendation for anyone who wants to build a micro startup, and this is how I will be building my micro startup itself, is to start with education and then do services. Starting with a little bit of education means that you get the distribution, you get the personal brand. Like for example, let's say you want to get into SEO. You can't convince clients to give you SEO projects and do SEO unless the client perceives that you are an expert in SEO. And if you are an expert in SEO, then you need to talk about SEO. It doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and create courses and create an education business around SEO, but at least you have to write about it, maybe write blog posts, newsletters, books, do some podcasts about SEO. That's how you will get perceived as an expert. And if you are doing that, might as well sell some SEO courses as well and use that revenue to build your distribution bigger and then use services to make profits. And eventually when you make enough profits with services, when you make enough cash flow with services, then you will be able to go ahead and invest that money into building software. And by that time, you will also have the distribution and you will also have a clear product market fit because you have a community of people, both businesses and consumers, who are in your community, in your email list, in your forum, and you can ask them, hey, what tools do you use for this? What are the challenges that you are facing with the current tools? And if I create a software, will you use it? So you can sell even before you build. And if you approach it like that, you will be able to go ahead and make sure that the software has a very clear product market fit and you are making something that people want. That is the tagline of Y Combinator as well. So now let's talk about the education category and what I am going to do in the education category when it comes to MicroStartup. So inside MicroStartup education category, I feel that there are three major customer avatars. And when you take customer avatars in general, like target customer buckets, there are actually four. But I do not intend to create any content for the education of investors because I am only a startup founder. I have not reached the investor stage. I cannot advise other people on how to invest. Maybe apart from advising people on how to invest in Bitcoin and why investing in Bitcoin is important, I have created some content about it, but we will come to the investor category a little bit later. So let's look at the three major customer avatars. You have employee, freelancer, and startup founder. Employee is somebody who is fresh in their career, out of college, and they are not getting a job or not getting a job that they like. When you look at internship opportunities and fresher opportunities, the amount of jobs that are available is primarily dominated by digital marketing itself. Companies want to hire people who can do lead generation, who can do some content marketing, social media. That's where most of the fresher jobs are available. I did some research and I felt like 70 to 80% of the fresher jobs are in the digital marketing category because it doesn't need too much subject expertise or experience to become a digital marketing employee. The second one is a freelancer. So when I say employee, it's not existing employees, it's people who want to become employees and get their first job. And in this category, what is the product that I'm going to do also that I'm going to explain in the next slide. Freelancer or professional, we can say. These are people who have 3 to 5 years of work experience minimum, and they want to go deep into one particular subject and master that subject so that they can get a better job or start getting freelance clients. And then we have people with 5 to 10 years of experience who are tired of working for different companies, who are tired of being a freelancer, and they want to become a startup founder. And in our case, let's call it a micro startup founder. And this is the audience that I'm talking to right now. So I cannot completely rule out people who are employees who are watching this content. But if they want to learn startup from me, they can watch these videos and see how I am building my startup. But I will refer them to my MicroInternship program, which is the best thing for them to get their first job. Because before you start your own micro startup, you need some level of work experience and an expertise in a particular field. So without having that, you cannot just jump out of college and build a startup unless you are like extremely intelligent. So there will always be edge cases. And for the investor category, I will allow people to invest in micro startup itself, which will become like a holding company or like a, platform for investing in other micro startups as well. And how I am going to get other micro startups as portfolio companies of micro startup, something like what Alex Hormozy does with acquisition.com is something that we will discuss later. But in terms of my education, this is how it is going to be. I call it the T-shaped digital marketer. So anyone who wants to learn digital marketing, basics to mid-level, who is going to want to become an employee in the digital marketing category. So they will join the MicroInternship program, which is a 3-month cohort-based program, which is covering the basics of content marketing, social media, Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, email marketing, and all these different subjects. So we have already trained 12,000 students in the internship program. You might be a part of the internship program and you might be watching this. And earlier it was called the internship program, but I am changing the name to MicroInternship Program because internship is a little bit of confusing term because I am not necessarily giving an internship opportunity to people and paying them a salary. It is a course, and this particular course is resembling the structure of an internship. And this particular internship is going to give an internship kind of experience and job experience so that, just give me a moment. I have my dog here who has started chewing on the mic's wire, and that is why I'm a little bit distracted. So I will remove it from his mouth and he can say hi and I will leave him. All right, Shifu, wait until I finish the video. So micro-internship is going to give an experience to people like an internship where they will be doing their own project. They will not be working on client projects because they have not gained enough experience to go ahead and jump into client projects directly. And we need people with a little bit more experience to be able to do client projects. So people will be setting up their own blog, publishing content on it, building their own social media profile, getting their feet wet with Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, email marketing, sales and copywriting, and all those subjects. And this is like general MBBS, right? You cannot do a specialization like cardiology, neurology, or something like that before you do the general MBBS basics first. So it's like that. So you learn digital marketing from the beginner to the mid level, and then you can choose one particular area where you can become an expert, and that's the horizontal and vertical of the T. The vertical of the T is the mastery area. So we also have Facebook ads mastery, Google ads mastery, SEO mastery, email marketing mastery, social media mastery. So people can complete 1 or 2 courses in this particular category. And we will bundle all these courses into a single product called Mastery Club, where they will be able to go ahead and get a subscription for Mastery Club and access any course that they want. And these will be self-serve courses along with some mentorship. And this will be the second category of product, which is targeted at professionals and people who have a little bit of work experience. The third biggest category which I am entering right now is going to be called Startup Launchpad. And as I said, what can you do in Startup Launchpad? You can become a mentor, which is focus on education. You can start an agency, services agency. It need not be just in the digital marketing category. It can be a design agency. It can be a HR agency. It can be a finance agency, bookkeeping agency, or any of that, any kind of services that businesses needs. So you need to get into B2B to start making big money, right? Because B2C is very difficult to make it work. You can keep making revenue without profit margin in B2C, but if you want to start making profits, you have to get into B2B where most of the money will come from. You can build a SaaS company or a platform, but that is for a later stage. Maybe when I start building a SaaS company, I will start teaching people how to build a SaaS company. When I start building a platform, I can teach people how to build a platform and make it all part of Startup Launchpad. But for the time being, as we are starting, I will be coaching not just in the startup category, but also in the digital marketing category. And in MicroStartup, I will be showing transparently how I am doing this, which includes the amount of money I spend on ads, the decisions that I make, what I do in terms of expenses, who I hire, how I hire, and what my employees are doing, and how am I making decisions. Everything I'm going to share transparently in such a way that you can learn how to build your own micro startup even without purchasing my Startup Launchpad program. But I need to make revenue from this also, because this is a good category to make revenue from. And maybe a small percentage of the people who follow me in the journey of building micro startup will buy Startup Launchpad. And the revenue from MicroInternship, Mastery Club, Startup Launchpad, everything will be included in the education revenue bucket of MicroStartup. But because I am teaching people that, hey, you need to start an agency, it would be a hypocrisy if I don't do an agency myself and don't share what I am doing with the agency while I am teaching people how to build startups, right? So what am I going to do with the agency? What is it going to be called? So the agency is going to be called Deep Marketing. And I already have created something called the Deep Marketing Funnel. And in the Deep Marketing Funnel, we have content, attention, trust, and transaction. In content, we have lead magnets, landing pages, social media, and blogging, because without creating content, you cannot generate leads. Just by traffic, you cannot generate leads. Like, people will visit your website, but why would they give you their contact information if there is no reason to do so? So until today, my own education company and services company has grown only because I generated a lot of leads. So till date, I have generated more than 2 million leads. But as of today, removing all the cold subscribers and unsubscribers, I still have 200,000 leads, which is 2 lakh leads. Then you get into attention, which is Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, solo ads, partners. And solo ads means that you advertise on other people's email list and you pay one-time fee for one single email. So that is solo ads, which is not very popular in India right now, but it will become popular because more and more people are now doing email marketing. So without content, you cannot drive traffic just to a homepage. You might have seen some corporate websites which have like main, gallery, in the media, about us, and then there is a contact us page. And people end up driving Google ads traffic to that kind of website where the conversion will not come. You won't get any leads. So you need to create good converting landing pages and then drive traffic to it using Facebook ads, Google ads, because this content pieces alone is not going to attract traffic on its own. You can start a blog and publish the world's best content in it, but it is still not going to be discovered. So you need to drive attention to the content that you have created. So we will be providing services in this section, and whatever we do also will follow the same formula, right? CATT funnel. When it comes to trust, the reason we need trust building is that a lot of people generate leads using paid advertising, maybe with some content, sometimes without content, and then they expect these leads to convert into sales automatically. It will not happen. You need to build trust with the leads, and you need to convert the cold leads into warm leads before you can convert them into buying customer. You need to go ahead and make sure that these leads are well nurtured. And how do you nurture the leads? You nurture them by sending email newsletters, providing content via email. You can do drip marketing sequence like a 10-day course on email. And my expertise lies in email marketing. You are probably watching this because I sent an email about it to you. Then you have community. So you have a group or a forum where you answer people's questions, participate in the community. And then you have events, where in events, it can be offline events. So not everybody will come to the offline event, but a significant portion of the people who come to the event are your best customers. And your online community watching that you are doing offline events also adds to the entire credibility that, hey, you are a trustworthy person. So once the trust is built with your leads, then you can do copywriting, sales, and affiliates to get the transaction done. And without doing transaction, you won't make enough revenue to start reinvesting back into content and driving attention and building trust with the leads. So a lot of companies do not have this complete funnel. And when we start providing services, we might not do full funnel marketing for every client. Some clients will be weak in content. We will help them with content. Some clients might be weak in this traffic generation. We will help them with performance marketing and organic SEO. Some clients might be generating good traffic and good number of leads, but they are not nurturing the leads in an automated fashion. And we will be helping them with email newsletters and drip marketing. And we might have either in-house resources or partner agencies which will do it for us. And this is my thesis. And this is how I'm going to approach the market. And whatever tactics that I use, including cold email outreach, existing connections, or whatever, I'll be sharing all the process with you in a transparent way. And yes, you might tell me that, Deepak, you are already in the industry for 10 plus years. It is going to be much easier and much faster for you than for us. But why can't you start today and build the kind of things that I have built in the past 10 years? You can probably build it in 2 or 3 years because I was not very focused in the past 10 years. So even if you do a little bit less of what I am achieving, you will still be able to understand how I approach things, because how else will I be able to teach you business, right? I don't want to give you theory. I want to give you practicals, and that practical is basically you looking at how I am doing it, right? So if you are going to start a micro startup, services is something that you cannot ignore. And I don't want to teach you how to build a business without doing services myself parallelly, because I want to give you the latest information and I am the case study, right? If you go to Harvard Business School, they basically teach you using this method called the case method, where every case study is the education. And here I am the case study. So right now this education part, which is under the brand Digital Deepak, and the agency part, which is under the brand Deep Marketing, is going to come under the MicroStartup umbrella. And eventually we will be adding software and platform as well. And that might happen a few years from now. And my goal is that I will update you almost every week on what I am doing on this channel, which will be in English, as well as a Tamil channel, which I have started because I am a Tamilian. I would eventually figure out if I can give updates in other languages as well, with other team members who speak different languages. But as of now, what I can do is give you updates in English and Tamil. So I intend to cover the Tamil audience as well with the micro startup thing. And you can understand that some of the things I might not be able to share publicly, right? So when I'm sharing things publicly, I might tell you that, hey, we got 5 clients, total revenue this much. We spent on email marketing, we spent on office rent, and I might be able to give you the aggregate amount that we spent on salaries. But I might not be able to tell you how much I am paying each and every employee. And I might not be able to tell you what I am planning to do, right? So here I am telling you what I am planning to do, but most of the future updates in this particular series will be what I have done month on month. So monthly income reports I will publish. I'm also forced to be 100% accurate with my books of accounts, because now I am doing this publicly. There is no other option. And that also disciplines me to stay compliant 100%. But I'm also planning to launch something called the MicroStartup Inner Circle, where I might get 100 to 200 people as part of my inner circle. I will be making some revenue from this as well. And this particular revenue also might be part of MicroStartupcom's initial capital. And for the inner circle of people, initially 100, 200 people, I will be able to do a weekly Q&A call where I can take feedback from the audience on the decisions that I make in the startup and some of the questions that you might have in terms of building your own startup. If you are not able to get the answers by watching these public videos, you will be able to ask it to me directly. So this is like a beta version of the eventual Startup Launchpad course that I am launching. And the Startup Launchpad course will be very in-depth, which will cover things like how do you choose a niche, how do you create customer avatars, and a lot of exercises and support that will come from my team as well, which is not something that you need to worry about right now. I will be first focusing on the agency, and you can consider that I'm building an agency in public and showing you how it is done. You don't need to worry about Startup Launchpad right now because most of the information will come from these free videos itself. But Inner Circle is something that you can consider joining and supporting me in this entire journey. I might also be able to raise some private equity funding through some network of mine who might be ready to invest in MicroStartup as an angel investor or as an early stage investor. And I will also be telling you who is the angel investor, how much they are investing, and what is the equity that I have liquidated, right? Most of the private companies will not give you that information, but I will be giving you information in such a way that I'm acting as if I'm a publicly listed company. So publicly listed companies are forced to share their information, but I will share this information in a volunteer way. So MicroStartup Inner Circle is just a idea right now, but when I'm launching it, I will let you know about it. And maybe you can join the Inner Circle. It will be an yearly subscription to get the behind the scenes and behind the scenes information, scoop in terms of what are the challenges that I am going through in the building of this entire MicroStartup. So that's about it for this video. I hope it was not too long. I hope it is not too complex because I have big dreams and I'm not able to find any other better way to approach all my dreams apart from creating a holding company, which will be called MicroStartupcom itself. And it is a MicroStartup. So please go ahead and leave a comment below. I had sent out a mail 2 days back about this entire idea and I got very good responses. In fact, I got 500 email replies for it. And I have never seen such a big response for something that I am starting. So please leave a comment on this video as well. And I will see you in the next video update. I think by the next video update, we will have clarity about the registration of the company and how it is going, why I'm creating a private limited company instead of an LLP. Everything I will share. I might also be able to interview startup founders in my channel. I might be able to interview my CA and my financial advisor as well with whatever decision I am making here. So everything will be built according to your feedback. And I need your feedback to understand what kind of content I need to create because there might be some things that I know, but I might not even realize that that's what I need to talk about, right? So that's about it. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.